What's going on, guys? I want to talk about a story that's a little bit old right now, but just kind of the grander scheme of things as far as the story goes. And that's Lil Tjay asking people to listen to his album, review his album. If you didn't know, he went on like a social media kind of frenzy, basically adding any big streamer, asking them to listen to his album. And like on paper, like, okay, what's wrong with that? Like, isn't that like a normal thing to want? And I think that just the total ignorant. I haven't heard him necessarily speak or really comment further on what he thinks, but you have to imagine if you're asking all these big streamers to listen to your album, you think that that would be like a mutual exchange of sorts, and he is completely out of his mind if he thinks that. Lil TJ is like a perfect example. Again, why I want to talk about him. Got big 2019, kind of rode that like really big wave of just like rap being on top for like that next few years until it kind of died down. And then I think like 2023 is when that kind of came to, started to really show decline. And we've been kind of seeing it ever since, where, a lot of people were listening to rap music. That was like the popular genre. And after a few years, it's just kind of cooled off a little bit as of right now. And a lot of those listeners that were not loyal to the genre really at all have moved on to the other new genres that are big, like country, EDM, Afrobeats, like stuff like that. Stuff that has honestly been trending upward. And so, not to say Lil TJ is a bad rapper at all, but I mean, from my perspective, like I didn't know any Lil TJ fans specifically. Like, not that there was nobody that would have checked his album out back in the day, but no one was really repping hard for him like that. And I think he kind of really just got lucky with the moment that he came into, because I think his peaks and highs were much larger than they would have been normally because of the specific time frame in which he was operating. That like COVID era, like there was a lot of rap music that was just doing straight numbers, and he kind of got to benefit from that. And now it's been, I don't know how long since rap has kind of died down as far as like the popularity commercial wise. But on top of that, Lil TJ is just not really a likable guy, and he doesn't have really enough buzz or motion around himself to really have the, gall to ask these streamers to listen to his album. Like, especially he added like Blackboy Max, which they got into a whole thing where Lil TJ wouldn't not smoke, and Blackboy Max is like Airbnb. And then you have the audacity to, ask him to listen to your album to help you out. And maybe that's part of the, the strategy behind it, is like he knows people don't really like him, or he knows the buzz that will like hopefully be generated around the headlines that came out that, he was asking all these streamers to do it. I mean, that isn't the case that's not how it worked. I mean, he got those headlines, but his album is doing pretty terrible right now. Most people don't even know he dropped an album. And I think he just had such an inflated sense of importance, or at least relevance, that he thought he had, maybe. Because, I mean, like, let's be real, the Offset thing happened, and that was a kind of a huge story. And I think he kind of mistaked the general attention and buzz around that to be somewhat related to his relevancy currently in the current music landscape. I will even give him the credit of following up on that buzz fairly quickly with an album. Like, there wasn't too much time between, or at least, like if that was like, okay, I got to get an album out now, I got this big event, that was a pretty quick turnaround. But no one cares. So it's like, you tried to capitalize on it, and now you're out here begging for people to, go look at your stuff and listen to you, because otherwise no one's trying to do that right now. And like, let's be real. I mean, I have not listened to this album, so I hate even saying this, but my expectations of a Lil TJ album in 2026 are not high. I expect it to be pretty similar to the other music he's made throughout his career, with nothing really standing out. I have not listened to the album, so maybe I'm talking crazy, but it's just not something I'm too incentivized to go check out very soon. I even messed with TJ's music back in the day, but like that's kind of the reason I stopped listening, is because he wasn't really furthering his sound, and with his specific style, it just got very, very stale for me. Because there are other artists that don't really change up their sound, and I still like them because I'm a fan of that sound, and the ways that they kind of keep it going. Not to throw shots at, like T Grizzly is like that for me. I mess with T Grizzly heavy, and whenever he drops an album, which is pretty consistently, I check that thing out front to back, and it's not usually too outside of the box of what I expect a T Grizzly album to sound like, but I'm a T Grizzly fan, so that's what I'm there for. I don't think Lil Tjay really has those fans, as you can see by the numbers that he's doing. And once again, obviously the commercial viability of a project does not necessarily speak to its quality or whether or not it was good. But I just am like blown away that Lil Tjay would think that he thinks he's still in 2021 right now as far as people caring about him or looking for his new music. That's just not the case. And not to mention just like the streak of unlikable headlines and instances he got caught up in. He had the Black Boy Max thing. That's like the first thing I can remember. Smoking in the Airbnb, him and what's his face? And then he spit on that guard at Madison Square Garden. I think it was MSG, is like one of an MSG properties. He spit on like a security guard who was trying to do his job properly, which that you just look terrible. You look like a horrible person. Like spitting on someone, really, like you spitting on someone, especially a security guard just trying to do their job. Like you really think that security guard's supposed to be like, I'm Lil Tjay. You didn't recognize me? No, he did not recognize you. Like you are not like that right now. But like the spitting thing, like that, as far as like even assault goes, like just like the more it makes you seem like you think you're above them and they're so beneath you, you spit on them. That's the energy that gives off. And I mean, obviously he hasn't necessarily ever said that, but I don't think anyone would disagree with the act of spitting on someone. Like you really got to kind of think they're dirt to do that. So like that you have that story, which is horrible for PR. And then you got the Offset thing, which I don't think has really helped him at all. Like, he definitely had recent buzz around his name from that, but none of that translated into anyone caring about what he had to say, especially since, like, Offset was the one who, like, potentially got shot. So I think if anyone was going to be, have more interest from telling their side of the story, it would have been Offset. So, yeah, it just... And like I said, I'm talking about this just because TJ is one of many rappers that probably have fallen into this like trap where they were hot at one point, and the buzz in the rap game at that time was just it was buzzing. So if you got on with any type of big hit, like you could make a lot out of that. But that is now completely gone. So even if you get the buzz like TJ did with the Offset situation, that did not convert into people actually caring about wanting to go check out his new music or even anything to do with Lil Tjay. And I am just like, you see these big artists right now, like canceling tours left and right. Like no one can sell tickets. And like, is part of that the price of the tickets? For sure. But I think it's also just goes to show the lack of loyalty to artists these days. Like, people are getting their music from TikTok. Like that, it is more so a background noise of the social media feed for many people. When they hear a song that they like from it, they might add it to their playlist. But their loyalty to those artists that they discover that way, that it's just non-existent like that. Like how many people hear a big song nowadays and say, "Let me go check out this artist fully," or go listen to the album that this song is from front to back? Very few people. Most people don't have the time span, and they don't want to waste, quote unquote, 30 minutes to an hour of their time listening to all these songs. Like, I'll know if it's a hit, it'll hit my feed, and then I'll go check it out maybe. But yeah, if you're Lil Tjay in 2026, you cannot be expecting like hardcore fans to emerge all of a sudden and be, giant supporters of you. You never really cultivated that fan base. You kind of were just riding that wave. And I got to understand not necessarily noticing the fact that was going to be sort of like a temporary, phase. But at this point, you should be more than well aware. I mean, if anyone is aware of the numbers, it's probably him. So you got to at least stop being a problem in the news and stop being so unlikable, spitting on security guards at venues. Not to mention, like, that's just from a PR standpoint. He's banned from all MSG venues. So it's like, okay, like any venue they own, you cannot perform at. Not like that was probably causing too much of a hiccup right now, but it just goes to show the short-sightedness of him. and the fact that he just doesn't understand his current place in the music landscape and the amount of like work he's going to have to do, or the undeniable level of hit he would have to make in order to really get back to where he was at the top of his career. But let me know what you guys think. Are you in agreement? Like, there's just so many rappers like this. I was trying to think of other ones that would be good examples. None really came to my mind, but there's definitely a good amount of people that definitely were carrying that inflated sense of relevance and popularity from, early 2020s, and it is not that year anymore, and people have really, really moved on. Only a few artists are really retaining their fan bases that they really put extra work and effort into cultivating. So let me know what you guys think. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. Catch ya.